We are ready now for our third round of the SASI debate 2021. Two more teams up to eliminate each other. How do you think it's going so far? Have you selected which sides you're going to be supporting, or do you want to wait until you've seen all 5 pairs go up against each other? Make sure you are part of this conversation. Of course, the hashtags, remember, hashtag SASI for Hope and SASI Debate 2021. Those are the 2 hashtags that we're using. So make sure when you're commenting, you're making use of those hashtags.
It's not only about the bragging rights. It's about representation, prowess, flexibility, and adequate information for a solution-focused initiative. We crowned a champion in the 3rd edition of the Speak and Solve initiative, SASI. It was a tough challenge, but an ultimate winner emerged. Taking the trophy, which has been in the custody of the Harare Institute of Technology, the Midland State University held the cup for the first time, marking themselves as the team to beat in the 4th edition of the SASI debate. They fought a good fight. Will they follow in the footsteps of their predecessors and be the winners this year? Do they have what it takes to take it home yet again?
Hello, I'm Courtney Tediwana Jongwe.
And I'm Nelson Banda. We are Team MSUAS.
Manicaland State University of Applied Sciences. I feel very excited to be a part of this team, very honored as well, because Nelson and I make a very powerful team. The other team should be very excited to meet us as well.
Well, I feel very confident about this team.
Not only do I think that we stand a chance, I know that we stand a chance. You should expect greater and more amazing results this time around, because this time we are more stronger, powerful and readier than we were before.
I expect to take the trophy home this time around, given the last 6 experience. We do stand a chance. Like last time we did better, and this time around I think we're going to do better again. Team SWAS, sizzling fire, watch out!
I'm Miss Sarafina Mdalani, the Dean of Students at Zimbabwe University. We are sending students out for these competitions in a very difficult environment, this COVID era. And our expectation is that most of the issues that are going to be debated there, whatever the themes, they also have to cover the status of the student within the COVID era. SRH issues within the COVID environment. Issues that are affecting students because of the COVID pandemic. Those debates, very helpful issues have been raised, but most of them had to do with students' life on campus. The missing link usually is the off-campus life. But I think the greatest part of all these debates is they have enlightened students on issues of sexual reproductive health, issues that are normally not discussed at home, issues that they normally would not discuss with friends. But because of these debates, they opened up as peers to be able to discuss some of these issues. Currently, the environment in which we are in, to tell you the truth, the students are very much affected, especially mentally. They need support, but they can only get support if these issues are talked about. We are unique because of our niche in the first place. Remember, we are a university of culture and heritage. We are the custodians of that niche. So for us, talking about sexual reproductive health, it takes us back to our culture, where we talk to our girl child, to our boy child, about and how to live in a society, how to become a good citizen. My message to them is, issues of sexual reproductive health are very important, especially to the students. Before they go for that debate, there is need to do some research around whatever they are going to be debating on. When you talk, remember you're coming from an institution of higher learning. You need to put your arguments in an academic way. The debate has to be different. The way you used to debate at high school, it has to be different now, because we expect that you are now a researcher. Do some research before you go for the debate. Get the facts right. Put your arguments right. Be clear and be composed and confident. We want to hear facts. We want to get solutions from the debate.
Now we do have the next two teams in the studio. We have Manicaland State University, and they're going up against the Great Zimbabwe University. Debaters, are you ready? I'm going to take you through the rules just very quickly for your information. Now, we are going to start off with the affirmative opening speech, and that's going to be 4 minutes. 4 minutes, all right? After we're done with that, the opposers will cross-examine for 1 minute 30 seconds, all right? Once we're done with the cross-examination, opposers, it will be your turn to give us your opening speech. That's another 4 minutes on the clock. And when you're done, our affirmative team will then cross-examine you for 1 minute 30 seconds as well. Once that part of the process is done, opposers, you will get 3 minutes to rebut. And then affirmative, you will also get your 3 minutes rebuttal time. Opposers, you'll then give us your closing remark, and the affirmative team will then give us their closing remarks. The closing remarks are 3 minutes on the clock. Are we all clear on how this is going to work? All right, please also let's remember that we switch our microphones on when we want to speak and switch them off when we are done speaking, all right? Now, the affirmative team for this topic I'm about to announce, of course, is Manicaland State University, and the opposers, Great Zimbabwe University. Our motion is: this House supports the outlawing of anti-LGBT plus conservative public figures, e.g. politicians, celebrities, religious leaders. I will read that out again. This House supports the outlawing of anti-LGBTQ plus conservative public figures, examples being politicians, celebrities, and religious leaders. Are we clear on our motion? Pardon me? Oh, sorry about that. It's this, this House supports the outing, not outlawing, the outing of anti-LGBTQ plus conservative public figures, e.g. politicians, celebrities, religious leaders. Are we clear on that one? Clear? All right. Manicaland, you are our affirmative, and you are our opposers. All right. Affirmative, your clock with your opening remarks starts now.
Okay, we are going to speak and solve. So if I can dispense with all nasties that come up with this debate, let me go straight into business. Panel, let me address the key word in this debate: outing. So outing is the act of disclosing LGBTQ person's sexual orientation without the person's consent. So first of all, we need to set clear all parameters in this debate, because we don't want trouble. Who are the targets of outing, and why LGBTQ plus activists are even targeting them in the first place? What is the motive behind? At the end of the day, you're going to realize that outing actually targets prominent figures in a society such as well-known politicians, celebrities, and religious leaders, who in public they push agendas that are anti-LGBTQ, but in private they are actually homosexuals themselves, whom we prefer to call hypocrites that inflict hate and oppression on one of their own. So, panel, outing gives rise to issues of choice and what constitutes common good in efforts to combat homophobia and heterosexism. So this is the problem that we're seeking to address as a house: heterosexism and homophobia. And we strongly and firmly support outing.
Because the main aim of outing is not only to reveal hypocritism of those in the so-called clauses of power, but also assuring a gay person's awareness of the presence of gay people in political issues, thus showing that being gay or lesbian or transgender is not utterly grotesque that it should never be discussed. So, activists within the LGBT community have used this type of outing as a political campaign or tactic to combat the problem that we have mentioned before in this debate. So, we strongly support outing. So, basically, there is a risk of the LGBT community suffering in the hands of conservative public figures who are anti-LGBTQ. Panel, rights will be infringed. Rights to freely access benefits and privileges that other people are accessing. Because what these anti-LGBTQ plus activists public figures do is try and lure everyone against the LGBT community. So outing is queer self-defense. I repeat, outing is queer self-defense, and the LGBT community has the right to defend itself against against those who abuse their power and influence, to support policies that inflict suffering on homosexuals, keeping in mind that the main aim is to combat homophobia and heterosexism. So the question that then comes now is, how effective and practical is outing when it comes to combating the problem that we've mentioned in this debate? So when it comes to effectiveness and practicality, we need to know that it depends on the willingness of the media to report that a person has been outed. And since today's media is all about the spoke, it is very easy for the message to pass through. And not mentioning the advent of internet to further make it practical. So I would like to quote and maybe portray a case study of the Oklahoma state senator in the USA, the former Trump state campaign chair, who got outed in 2017 for soliciting sex from a 17-year-old male. He was, of course, a family. He was, of course, from a family of values Republican who voted for the favor of legislation against the LGBTQ plus people, according to the Associated Press. So, what is the point? We are saying that if these hypocrites are not outed, they will continue with this heinous act in the private and go scot-free in the public. I would like to cede my time.
Okay, 20 seconds on the clock that you have ceded over to me. That is fine, we'll take it. Now, opposers, are you ready for your cross-examination? All right, your clock starts now.
Okay, what would be your comment on the civil liberties which are enshrined in one's search for his or her personal identity with respect to his search or her search for his sexual identity?
I didn't get that clear. Can you repeat the question?
Okay, what would be your comment on the civil liberties enshrined in one's search for personal identity in the form of his or her sexuality? What would be your comment on that?
Okay, my comment on that is that this is our agenda as a house, to actually say that we are advocating for those privileges, for those rights that you're talking about as a house.
Okay, the second question. So do you think all those who follow their political leaders, religious leaders, or celebrities, when they discover that those followers have got that strong aversion against them, what would you think about the following that they have?
Okay, that is the whole point of outing, trying to change the message, trying to change the narrative that there's nothing wrong with homosexuality. So after they have discovered that their leaders are actually homosexuals themselves and they are against homosexuality in public, they are going to change their way of thinking, they're going to change their perspectives.
Okay, I am done.
All right, with 11 seconds, you have ceded your time, which then means that it is time for you to give us your opening remarks. Are you ready?
Pretty sure.
Your clock starts now.
Okay, so the non-affirmative side does not agree with the position of the affirmative side. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to debunk the fallacy which is contained in the affirmative's argument. And I'm going to debunk it on the basis of 2 to 3 points. Number 1, on stigmatization. Then number 2, that these people have got large followings. They have people who will be following them. So there are vividly negative consequences which does follow when someone has been outed. For example, celebrities are popular people, religious leaders are popular people, politicians are popular people. So in order to drive this decision, in order to drive this argument, to show how fallacious your argument is, I would draw you to the attention of how the society is structured. You know, the society is structured with people who have got different beliefs, different values, different things which they believe in, and in their search of their sexual identity. I would draw you to the Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women. I'll also draw you to the attention of the International Covenant on Economic and Social Cultural Rights, and what these international instruments say about one's search for his or her sexual identity. I would like also to draw you to one proponent of the radical feminist perspective named Andrea Dworkin, and her sentiments as to how one is there to find a sexual identity and how outing does affect that sexual identity. So I'm going to give a skeletal corpse of my argument, and my partner is going to give flesh to that. So firstly, it is important to consider that people have got different tastes. People have got different preferences, and one cannot be told what should he prefer or what should she prefer. So when we look at it from the perspective of the international instruments which I have just highlighted, it is simply clear that one has got the right to a sexual identity. One has got the right to search for a or his sexual identity in line with her beliefs. So your argument is so fallacious in that it does not recognize that there are different tastes, there are different attitudes, there are different societies which do support different views. And secondly, for example, in Zimbabwe, you do recognize that there is the establishment of the Gays and Lesbians Association, which is there to recognize that there are people with different values. There are people who believe in different sexualities. So when you do this outing thing, look at the whole society which you are disturbing in their search for their sexual identity. So my partner is going to bolster that during the cross-examination. I raise my case.
49 seconds to go. Are you sure you want to cede? Yes. All right. Okay. So with 49 seconds, we will now cross back to the affirmative team with their cross-examination team. Your time starts now.
Okay. So please repeat. What exactly do you suppose is the problem with this debate? What exactly do you suppose is the problem with this debate?
Okay, the problem is with outing.
What about outing?
Outing it is something that should not form part and parcel of our society, because people have got different values, they've got different beliefs in their sexuality.
And what solution do you propose?
The solution which I propose is mainly found in the international instruments which I have just highlighted. The International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, and the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, which does entitle women or men to choose the sexuality that they want without any form of discrimination.
Thank you.
You're ceding your time?
I cede my time.
Okay. I think these will be the two teams that cede the most time to me entirely today. All right. So, opposers, your rebuttal. You have 4 minutes. Your time starts now. Let's go.
All right, as my partner has said, so as my partner has said, there will be the issue of stigmatization is that they have a huge following. With their politicians, celebrities, and religious leaders. There are vividly negative consequences to attach these conservative public figures for the society as heterogeneous, with different people with different beliefs. So in order to fully explain on this, it is important to notice that LGBT+ does comprise of both males and females who are in search of their sexual identity. is it? As my partner has said before, with the issue of the CEDAW for women and ICE, SCR, which many countries are signatories. It is important to consider the view of one radical feminist perspective who poses that women in search of their identity have the liberty to either to choose who they want to marry, if they want to marry each other, or to form relationship with each other. Thus, lesbians have an expression of their sexual identity. In Zimbabwe, we do recognize the establishment of the Gays and Lesbian Association of Zimbabwe as a form of sexual autonomy. So when conservative individuals on issues to do with LGBT plus reveal themselves, they are bound to go against the dictates of what people believe in, which is an indicator of their value washing away. So as outing is designed mostly to promote the positive images of gays, lesbians, bisexual, and transgender, and achieving the political autonomy in the field of politics and social standing, probably among religious circles, conservative individuals mentioned above are there to advance the cause of gays and lesbians in the societies they live in. But now, look at what they are doing. They are publicly denouncing their followers, who they are supposed to motivate, is it? So, usually when this is done, funds and donations to organizations may no longer be supported, and the LGBT plus community will no longer receive funds from non-governmental organizations as they would have been unveiled. I rest my case.
A whole minute and 27 seconds.
Yes, ma'am.
You're done. Nothing more to add.
No.
Not even a repeat.
No.
Okay, all right, that's fine. We'll let you cede a minute and 27 seconds of your time. All right, Team Affirmative, your rebuttal, your time starts now.
Firstly, you mentioned about large followings, right? And having large
Please turn on your mic. Is your mic on now?
Oh, yes, it is.
Okay, you may go ahead.
Firstly, let me start by redefining the motion. The motion states that this House supports the outing of anti-LGBTQ plus conservatives, such as public figures, that are public figures, all right? And you mentioned that these public figures may indeed have large followings, but our side of the House is saying that this, because these people have large followings, does not give them the right to be one person in the light and the other person in the darkness. Because outing is, and I will read it out to you, outing is exposing public figures who are anti-LGBTQ plus in public, but actually part of the community in reality. And because of this, we are saying that these people should indeed be outed. They cannot be one person in the dark and the other person in the light. We are standing against hypocrisy. You people also mentioned that, secondly, that you talked about how we should consider equality. You talked about how we should consider equality and how we should also consider the fact that someone has a right to choose whatever side of sexual orientation they want. And we are not arguing that point, but we are saying that if a person chooses to say, I am on this side, they should indeed be on that side, and they should not use their power as public figures to go out there and say that no, because I'm a public figure, I can choose to be one thing today and the other thing in the next. We are supposed to be fighting for a society where people are equal. We are advocating for a society where everyone is equal, a society where everyone is included, where there is creation of an inclusive environment. Because if our public figures are conservative, because if our public figures are conservative to that, then it means that there's a pandemonium that ensues amongst those who they are leading. You're talking about the large followers. Because there you know that one day this person was saying, we are anti-LGBTQ plus today, and then the next day they wake up and they're saying, no, we're no longer anti-LGBTQ plus. And we're saying, we support the people that people that expose people that are doing that, the people that have a head of a sheep and then they have a rest of the body of a wolf. We do not want that, because if you're going to stand for a side, pick a side and stand for that side, because at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with being LGBTQ+. If you're going to support it fully, and if you're going to be against it, then be against it fully. We have cases where this had actually transpired. We have the Catholic senior clergyman in Britain. His name was O'Brien. He had a reputation for homophobia, and he was exposed, and he opposed equality, adoption by gays, and other civil rights protection for LGBTQ+ people. But then all of a sudden in 2013, he was forced to resign after the priest accused O'Brien for making inappropriate advancements to them the night before prayer. This is what we do not want. This is why our house is standing for outing of such people. They cannot just go and decide that, no, we want to be this today in the light, and then the next day they want to be something totally different. Therefore, this house supports the outing of the anti-LGBTQ+ conservative people, because change is the only constant that is dynamic.
Thank you for not giving me any more seconds. All right. Opposers, your closing remarks, and your clock starts now.
Okay, I'm going to close by this. So the proponents of this motion have been swaying from left to right, but we are going to maintain our position that outing is something terrible in our social constructs. What I'm going to hammer as my last point is that people have got their civil liberties, which are enshrined in the international instruments, which I've just mentioned before. And they cannot be told whether to have the sheep's head and the dog's back, or whatever thing is, that there be someone in the night and there'll be someone during the day. People have got civil liberties, which they are to protect. So they have the right to choose what they want to become. They have the right to choose where they want to be, the sexual partners that they want to have. So there is no black or white in the distinguishing of what people should do. I rest my case. That's my closing submissions.
Debaters, can I ask you to just add something else? You've given me too much time today. Come on, let's keep it going. I'm sure. Let's see how quick you are with your wit. Add something else. Just one more point. Let's go.
I have nothing to add.
One. It's fine. 1 minute and 59 seconds they have ceded to me. Affirmative, your closing remarks, and your clock begins now.
Panel. Change is the catalyst for change is the only constant dynamic. Talk of moving with the times. One's sexual orientation doesn't change the fact that they are human and should be treated as such. So public figures should realize that. They all need to see beyond one's sexual orientation, so that they don't go on rallying lots of people from all spheres, be it religiously, to turn blind eyes towards realizing the gravity of oppression they inflict on the minority group, they inflict on the LGBT community. What I'm glad in this debate is that the other house has no tangible solution, has no tangible problem to start with. But our house has addressed the problem and offered a practical solution. So therefore, panel, we think that we deserve to win this debate. So, whether people agree with outing or not, our campaign has done more than any other initiative to publicly expose the hypocritism and homophobia of the Church of England. I'm taking a case study. So it has compelled the Anglican leadership to address lesbian and gay issues in a way that no other campaign has succeeded doing. So there is no other solution that works better than outing. That is the point. So years ago, the Anglican leadership was refusing to discuss homosexuality because years ago, the Anglican leadership was refusing to discuss homosexuality. That was the problem. And because polite lobbying had failed, activists felt that more challenging tactics were necessary, and they went for outing. So they named homosexual leaders within the church. And within 2 weeks, church leaders began serious discussion with the lesbian and gay organization for the first time in history. That was a big achievement panel. So within a month, the bishops issued one of their strongest condemnation of anti-gay discrimination. That was an achievement panel. So a little later, the World Conference of Anglican Leaders called for the church to rethink their policy concerning sexuality. So we think that outing works in the bid to achieve the goals that we've mentioned in this debate, that we're seeking to eradicate, we're seeking to combat heterosexism and homophobia. I cede my time.
And he says, as he looks at my clock, to make sure he is not ceding a lot of it. All right, 22 seconds have been ceded. Thank you very much, our debaters. Now, before I let you go, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves. Gentlemen in the lovely red tie, please introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Athu Maradza.
And what are you studying?
I'm studying law.
Okay. Lady?
I'm Tinotenda Punyoka. I'm studying law as well.
All right, I love how he turns the mic for her, and such a gentleman.
Yeah,
You can
he
tell. Gentleman in the leather biker jersey, jacket.
My name is Nelson Banda, and I'm studying mining engineering and mineral processing.
All right, lady. And she, the difference. No, I'm just playing with you. Go ahead.
My name is Courtney Tadiwana Shejongwe, and I'm studying chemical and processing engineering at Manicaland State University of Applied Sciences.
Yeah, it's okay. You want to be elsewhere. Well, what can we do? All right. Now, as our adjudicators take a moment to consider whether the debaters have actually understood the topic that they were discussing, whether they've done it justice, we will cross over to the condomized desk where Nikki's having a really good time having less tense conversations with our students as well as members from Say What. Nikki, over to you.
They're very interesting conversations that we are having, courtesy of Say What. And just in case you're joining us, the SASI debates are ongoing, and we want to look at these topics and talk to the participants. Atwell from Great Zimbabwe University, all the way from Masvingo Province. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Let's talk a bit about your debate topic.
Well, we were debating on the motion which this House supports the outing of LGBT for conservatives, and we were on the non-affirmative side, and we were not agreeing with what the proponents of the motion were saying. We were of the position that no, those with their sexual identity should not be removed; they should just remain what they are.
How openly are these discussions being carried out in tertiary institutions now?
So far, they are not being carried out as what we expect, but we are going to see a change as we have learned how they are being done, and we are going to put in time when we get back to school.
That's the way to go. That's the way to go. And of course, all the way from Masvingo Province, his name is Atwell with Great Zimbabwe University. We'll continue to give you more information on what's happening, courtesy of Say What. Hot topics and engaging conversations. That's the way it should be. Courtney is here, and you're with which institution?
Manicaland State University of Applied Sciences.
So let's talk about your debate topic. You're right. And what were you talking about, and which position were you standing on?
We were on the affirmative side. Our house was supporting the motion that says that this house supports the outing of the anti-LGBTQ plus conservative public figures.
Now, how important is this discussion or such conversations in these times?
These conversations are very important because LGBTQ plus community is growing daily, and it's high time we make it known to everyone how things that we are doing are affecting them directly or indirectly.
Now, we will talk about maybe some of the barriers to us openly talking about the movement, and how do you feel government can come in to assist?
I feel like government should allow the LGBTQ plus community to have representatives that explain to us what they want, because I can't say for them, but if they can have a representative that can say what they want, I think we can move forward.
Progressive times, changing times also, and I guess that's how culture is dynamic. Thank you so much for joining us, Courtney.
You're welcome.
All the best. And we continue to talk about the SASI debates, and also we will talk to the different institutions and the representatives therein. And I'm joined by Dean Mudavanu. She's with the Great Zimbabwe University, but you're known as Auntie Sarah. Welcome, and tell us why Auntie Sarah.
Thank you very much. I'm Auntie Sarah because I work with students, and because I want students to be comfortable with me, whether we are on campus or off campus. So by calling me Auntie, it means I am easygoing. They can approach me anytime, anywhere with any issue, be it academic, social, financial, whatever. So Auntie Sarah makes me more closer to my students.
I love that.
Yes.
I'm going to zone in on sexual reproductive health. And when students come to you, look, this is the condomized desk. So allow me to also ask about, do they understand condom use? Do they appreciate the importance of safe sex? Are you having these conversations with them?
Oh yes, we do have these conversations with our students. We noted that never take anything for granted. Because as students come, you might think, this is a condom, they know about it. But we realized they really need education, especially on the use of the condom and why they should use the condom. And when you are on campus, we also conscientize them as to where they can get the condom. But most importantly is why they should condomize.
I love
So
that.
we really talk to them about these issues.
You know, the different stakeholders as far as the condomized conversation is concerned, how important is it for government and other social institutions to invest in condomized conversations in society?
This is very important because the generation that we have now, the generation that's coming to our institutions has changed. They understand things that we thought they did not understand. Going back to primary education itself, they have changed their curriculum to talk about these things at grade 1, 2, 3. So at university, we really have to enhance it. I can give you an example.
Go ahead.
I talk to my students, at times I talk to girls, it's a dean girls talk, and the dean boys talk. So at first, the boys thought, Dean, you're a woman. How are you going to talk to us about boys things? And I said, in the first place, I'm a mother of all, and I also have baby boys. So I am here to talk to you so that I groom you. Where I feel I need assistance, I will then find someone to assist, but I really need to know the real issues. So for government, I think it is important that these issues of condomizing be actually part of the curriculum, especially in higher education. We do have what we call university-wide modules. And I feel from first year as the student comes, let's have these sexual reproductive health modules really being taught to students, examined. And then if you don't pass this, how do we then send you out into the society?
Because the world is waiting.
Yes. So it's important for government to embrace, especially the issue of condomizing, because what they do behind we can't monitor them. So it is important that at least they are protected against some of these sexually transmitted diseases through condomizing.
Indeed.
There's nothing wrong talking even to your kids about this. And at my institution, I talk about it openly.
And we appreciate that, and we salute you as one of the condomized champions.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Dean Mudavanu, but let's call her Auntie Sarah from Great Zimbabwe University.